This is the moment you've been waiting for. An agent requested to read your full manuscript. But what happens now? How long is it going to take for you to hear back? And when should you check in? I saw 2 comments about full requests, specifically asking about the length of time that you should expect to wait to hear back. So that's what we're going to cover today. For my new viewers, this is my weekly Ask Alyssa Anything session where I pop into the comments and answer your questions about your writing and publishing journey so you can get one step closer to seeing your book on the shelf. Here's the first question. Hello, Alyssa. Thank you for your efforts at demystifying the book world. My question, if an agent requests a full manuscript, can I expect a response of some kind? What is a reasonable amount of time to give an agent to review the manuscript? And here's the second question. The first part of the comment relates to a video I did about dying on submission. Oh, this is such a fear of mine. I've been taking a break from the querying trenches for the past year and I just jumped back in. And the thought that after all of this my book could die on sub is so disheartening. Alyssa, I know you've addressed this and I'm so sorry to ask, but I've been cramming on AuthorTube lately and can't remember where I saw it. But I think you mentioned when we should mark a full manuscript request a CNR, or a closed no response. I have a full out to an agent who has had my manuscript for over a year and has not responded to nudges. I know from Query Tracker that she's open and accepting queries and requesting manuscripts. My thought is that agents are catching up on fulls over the summer lull in publishing and that I should continue to query and not give up hope, because I know she's got her own book out on sub and she has kids and a very full list and is probably just behind on work like we all are. What would you advise? Thank you for everything you do for us. Let me tackle both of these questions at once since they both deal with how long you should expect to hear back after a full. Once you send your full manuscript to an agent, I know you want to hear back as soon as possible. After all, they expressed their interest in reading the book, so you would presume that they'd hop on it and get back to you pretty quickly. But unfortunately, it can take weeks, oftentimes months, to hear back from agents even after they've requested the full manuscript. Keep in mind that this isn't because they aren't excited to read the full novel, but simply comes down to them finding time to carve out to dedicate to it. And reading a full novel or even part of a novel takes a lot longer than simply reviewing a query and some sample pages. So that's why we can see full requests sitting for a while, because it's still not the highest priority item an agent has, and it takes quite a bit of time. In an ideal world, an agent would give you a sense of when you can expect to hear back from them, either in the email where they are confirming receipt of the full or when they request the full, or on their website in some way. But many agents do not, which leaves you in the position of having to determine for yourself what might be a reasonable time frame for them to get back to you. At the bare minimum, I would give the full request a month before considering any action. But honestly, at the month mark, it is very highly likely that the agent just hasn't gotten around to reviewing the full yet. More commonly, agents take 3 or more months to get through their full requests, but it could take even longer than that. Luckily, there are ways for you to get a more specific sense of how long it will take to hear back from a particular agent. To do this, we are going to use the industry's leading querying database, Query Tracker. In the free version of Query Tracker, you can review the comments on a specific agent's profile where authors are sharing their timeline for responses. You can scroll through those comments and see who has gotten a full request and how long it took them to hear back from the agent after they got the full. You can get even more data through the premium version. In this case, you can go to the Reports tab on an agent's profile and look at their submission response times. This is going to show you the average of how long it takes them to respond to a submission, which is classified as a full or a partial request. Once you have looked at Query Tracker and determined about how long it is taking them to respond, add another 3 or so weeks to that, and once that time has passed, you can consider sending the agent a gentle check-in email. Ultimately, you might not hear back from that check-in email, but in the best case, it could at least give the agent an opportunity to give you an update on where they're at in their queue. Speaking of check-ins, the second question asked what to do about this agent who hasn't responded to check-ins and it has been over a year since they got the full manuscript. In this case, if you've already nudged the agent once or twice and you haven't heard back and it's been a year now, then I would go ahead and move on with querying elsewhere. It is very possible that the agent just has a huge backlog of requests that they haven't gotten to go through yet, but regardless, you shouldn't wait up on them. If you end up hearing from them down the line, that's great, but if you don't, then just consider it a pass and continue querying. It's certainly not unheard of to hear from agents on queries or full requests after a year, but that is an outlier situation, and any reasonable agent would very much expect you to be continuing to query and will totally understand that you have likely already moved on by that point. I hope this helped you understand what to expect after you get a full request. If you have a question you'd like to ask, drop me a comment here and it will be added to my queue for my next Q&A. Before you head out, check out my free resource called My Story Self-Assessment Worksheet. The link is in the description. This is a worksheet designed to help you see how to take your story to the next level and identify what's working well and what could be improved on the next draft. Downloading that is also going to opt you into my newsletter, Chapter Break, that you all are loving. Every week, I'm dishing out interviews with literary agents and best-selling authors, talking all about the publishing process and what to expect going into it. I'm also doing deep dives into editorial topics from my background as a developmental book editor. If you want to go ahead and check out the newsletter, that link is also in the description. Before you head out, give me a thumbs up if you're liking these Q&As, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on my next one. Thanks so much for watching, and happy writing.